When I first visited the US as a Prime Minister, India was the 10th largest economy in the world. 10th. Today, India is the 5th largest economy.
We've had economic figures for the last 3 months of 2023. The economy grew by 8.4%. That is compared with 7.6% growth in the previous quarter.
Is India poised to narrow the gap with China? Over the past 2 decades, India's economy has surged, surpassing the UK, France, Italy, and Brazil in size. Now, as hundreds of millions of Indians head to the polls, some economists speculate about the country's potential to even rival China. Do you believe India can ascend to superpower status? If so, you'd recognize the significant strides the Indian government has taken in the last decade to realize our collective vision of a nation characterized by growth, power, and development. A nation shedding its past of oppression and poverty to emerge as a dominant force in the global economy. This momentum was underscored by the historic moment when the Indian Prime Minister addressed the US Congress at 140. Given our rapid growth trajectory and vast population, the world increasingly views India as the next rising superpower, echoing China's own trajectory from poverty to prominence under similar circumstances of socialist beginnings. It's 1978, and the Chinese economy has been stagnant for decades, with tens of millions suffering and starvation rampant in rural areas. However, in 1978, something remarkable occurred. China initiated economic liberalization. A few years after Mao Zedong's death, Deng Xiaoping meticulously revitalized China's once thriving economy. Under his leadership, China retained its socialist political ideology while introducing market economy reforms. Despite both countries initially having similar GDP trajectories, China experienced explosive growth after the 1980s, now boasting an economy nearly 5 times larger than India's. India, delayed by 13 years, finally embraced liberalization in 1991, following a similar path to China's in 1978. Since then, India has embarked on a journey of economic rejuvenation. The year 1991 marked the start of a series of reforms aimed at liberating the economy from the constraints of socialism. Emphasis was placed on fostering a conducive environment for business, both domestic and foreign. Market access was liberalized, competition increased, jobs were created, inflation was managed, and the economy surged at a 7% growth rate. China experienced a similar surge 3 decades after liberalization, from 2008 to 2023. As of 2021, India has completed its 30 years since liberalization, and the world anticipates it to emerge as the second largest economy within the next 2 decades. This optimism is reflected in the flood of foreign direct investment pouring into India, with investors betting heavily on its potential for unparalleled economic growth and innovation. However, amidst this optimism, the Indus Valley Report by Bloom Ventures highlights 3 critical challenges India must address to realize its aspirations of becoming an economic superpower. Failure to overcome these challenges could derail India's economic trajectory. Therefore, it's imperative for the Indian government to tackle these obstacles effectively. Take a look at this chart, which symbolizes the essence of the Great Indian Dream. It demonstrates a recurring pattern. Each time a crisis hits, India stages a remarkable recovery. For instance, following the 2008 crisis, our growth plummeted to 3.1%, only to bounce back to a staggering 8.5%. Similarly, amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, despite a 5.8% contraction, we rebounded to 9.1%. Presently, we maintain our position as the world's fastest growing economy with a 6% GDP growth rate. In comparison, China stands at 4.7% and the US at 1.4%. Considering the global average is a mere 2.7%, this appears impressive. However, there's a significant discrepancy concealed within this graph. an issue glaringly evident when examining this picture. While India ranks 5th in terms of total GDP, our per capita GDP ranks a dismal 140th globally. Yes, 140th. The disparity is staggering. Mexico boasts 6 times our per capita GDP, China nearly 5 times, Indonesia almost twice, and even Bangladesh surpasses us by $9. So what accounts for this stark contrast? The answer lies in this graph depicting a breakdown of India's GDP components. Here we observe that 60% of our GDP stems from private consumption. When families purchase essentials, vehicles, education, or entertainment, they contribute to this segment. Government spending constitutes 11%, covering salaries, public services, and military expenditures. However, a glaring discrepancy arises in the category of gross fixed capital formation. While China allocates 43% of its GDP to this area, India only devotes 29%. This highlights the first critical issue facing the Indian economy. Now, if you like this video, check out this next video right here.